This is the High Desert Luthiery podcast with Angel from Dava Picks.
When you choke up on the pick, you hold it way close to the tip. The pick feels a lot stiffer than when you hold it like way farther back. So in every single Dava pick, you can change the feel about how it's playing, how it reacts to the strings, the guitar, just by the way you hold the pick. And you don't have to change anything. And then what that also means is we can make it a little bit thicker than we would by still getting you a feel of a little bit lighter pick for people that like that. And then it sounds a little warmer because of that too. So usually you can get a pretty nice attack with a lot of control with the pick.
So joining me today is Angel from local company Dava Picks. I was first introduced to Dava Picks at a name show many years ago. Angel brings up how picks are so personal. And my experience in doing guitar tech work, repair guy work, a lot of setups for players, I'm trying to bring the instrument and the player into harmony. I never considered the pick. I never considered its role. And the pick is the sort of intermediary for a lot of players that use them. And it just excited me to hear how he spoke about this. If you're not familiar with Dava Picks, he got some decent up close shots of the picks. You can definitely check him out on his Instagram page and on their website. And if you are in Albuquerque, we list local shops that carry picks. Visit the website, order some picks, give them a shot. They're a really wonderful product. He shows my favorite one, which is the nickel silver tipped pick. And I'm excited to go mess around with that pick after I'm done recording here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the High Desert Luthiery podcast. I'm Perry from Unga Guitars and the creator of the new guitar / luthier show here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the High Desert Luthiery Invitational, or HDLI for short. The HDLI is a small trade show that'll happen twice a year, June and December, and is a celebration of luthiers, luthier-adjacent creators, musicians, and the art that comes from combining these things. For anyone who's not in the know, a luthier is essentially a maker of stringed instruments. In this case, we're talking about guitar makers, violin makers, mandolin makers, and possibly even banjo makers, ukuleles as well. The HDLI supports the music community by providing free booths to the vendors and free admission to the public. All of the participating vendors and musicians are curated by me to create a cohesive, organized event. The HDLI encourages community and collaboration amongst the artists. This podcast is one way to help us all get to know one another, especially the builders and all the vendors at the show. When you are a vendor at a show, for anyone who hasn't done one, it's really hard to get around and mingle. So this podcast is a great way, especially for me, being the ringleader of the show, to get to know all of my vendors a lot more. And for anyone who is not aware, the behind the scenes is I've spoken to every one of the vendors participating in the show, and getting to know them is a wonderful thing. If you'd like to learn more about the show and the artists participating in the next show, the next HDLI, please visit our website, highdesertluthery.com. If you'd like to listen to more episodes of our podcast, please visit our YouTube channel, High Desert Luthiery Podcast. While you're there, please do subscribe, please share, please like anything that you're listening to. Hitting all those good buttons goes a long way in helping us show up in your feed and become more relevant. You can also keep up with any updates on our Instagram page, High Desert Luthiery. So joining me today is Angel from Dava Picks.
How are you doing? I hope you're well.
I'm good. How have you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
I know it's been quite a minute. I've been doing great. Just hired a couple new people, so I'm doing a lot of training right now where the factory's pretty busy at the moment, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm just excited about that because that keeps me busy.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Can you just tell us about Dava Picks and your history with the company?
Totally. So I'm Angel. I'm actually the new owner of Dava. So Dava was a company started by a man called Dave Story. He actually was the inventor of the Kaler tremolo. So back in the 80s, the Kaler tremolo was like really popular. It was kind of like the predecessor to the Floyd Rose in a sense. After that, many years went by and he invented the Dava pick, the original one, which I have a couple picks here. I don't know if you could see in the camera. So there's the original. I'll put it closer. Dava
There we
pick.
go.
Yeah. And he started it, I think, in Georgia, I believe. And then he moved the whole operation here to Albuquerque. And yeah, it's funny. Some people only by word of mouth know it's from Albuquerque. I think Dave actually liked it that way because he did a lot of his business internationally, and he mostly, used the post office and that kind of thing, an email at that point. And I think he liked it that way. Yeah, so that's a funny thing. A lot of people don't know it's from Albuquerque, but they know the picks. So that's a funny thing, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember the picks at the NAMM show. And, that was kind of like a big thing. I remember the first time I was at a NAMM show, just going around seeing all the pick companies and, they're throwing picks at you. And the people at the booths with the companies were just so excited to talk about the picks. It was really cool. That's one of my fondest memories of the NAMM show. Are you doing the NAMM show or were you there, last weekend or a couple weekends ago?
Yeah, it was a couple weekends ago. So I was there, but I didn't have a booth. Yeah, Nam, luckily for me, I think Dave established Dava and got like all of his contacts together. So right now, when I go to NAM, I'm mostly looking to like outreach and network and see what new opportunities there are in like other senses. I'm trying to be a little more creative with my approach when I go. So I don't have a booth when I go. I kind of just like to go and connect with people. And also, funny enough, I met a couple people who use Dava Picks out there, and I was able to connect with them through Instagram and meet them face to face, which is honestly really cool. It's like meeting people from really so many different places. I thought that
Oh, I
was
bet.
really cool. Being from a small area of New Mexico myself, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Are you going to be visiting the Colorado Guitar Show next month?
I don't think so. The NAM was the big trip for me, and then I'll probably stay in New Mexico until this High Desert show. Yeah,
Oh, right on. Yeah, I think
yeah.
a lot of us locals will definitely be sticking around. I was hearing from the guys that are coming from Colorado and another guitar maker from Arizona that they'll be participating at the Colorado Guitar Show. And I've been asking everyone, tell me when you have an event going on so we can share it. And if there's multiple builders, at the same event, I can at the very least, let you guys all know that, hey, hit these dudes up, make friends now,
Right, right.
By the time the High Desert Luthiery show comes up in June, we can hopefully be friends before that. Yeah. Do you have any big time or any like well-known players that you're working with right now or supporting?
Larry Mitchell, a lot of people know him from New Mexico. He used to live in Santa Fe quite a few years ago, but he's a pretty world-renowned guitar player, session player. He's been great friends with Dava for a long time. So we're working with him to get like the pick that he likes, which is this one. Let me see if you can see it. It's called the Grip Nylon. So we're doing that in a special gold color for him. And I think that'll be really cool and different. Another player that uses ours, his name is Corey Wong. So he's like a pretty popular right now, like pop funk kind of guitar player. He uses the grip tip Delrin. So we're looking to collaborate with him something soon. I think that'll be really exciting.
I'm a big
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah, he's a great guitar player and he's a great person too. I got to meet him just a while back and yeah, actually great to talk to. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I noticed afterwards that he was playing in the area, and I was like, "Damn, I missed it again."
Yeah. It was a great show. He's got a world-class band, yeah.
Where did he end up playing?
He ended up playing at the El Rey Theater, and it was pretty full for a Tuesday, I would say. I think he did really well.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Do you have the pick that he's using right now?
Yeah. So it's called the Grip Tip Delrin. So a lot of people know it by the grip. This is probably like our more famous kind of pick because of the grip and the design, the all the dots there. And those come in like 6 different colors. They usually come in like a multi-pack. So I know he uses those. And I'm sure there's other people that use the picks. I mean, it's funny with picks. I feel like you never know who could be using a guitar pick because unless they like physically show it on a camera, it's kind of hard to distinguish sometimes. So honestly, you never know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, players are always trying different things, and picks are just so easy to come upon.
Right.
And I don't use a pick a whole lot when I play. I found in one of my pockets, that's how it goes. I found a few Dava picks in there, and a friend of mine had slipped them into my pocket the last time I saw him, and I guess he didn't
Awesome.
know,
Yeah.
that I had a few on my bench already that you had gave me. And I was like, oh, where did these come from? And I was just sitting there, like looking at them, like, where did these come from? And trying to trace back, like, when did I wear this last? And who was
Yeah.
I with and all that stuff. And I get a message like, hey, I put some picks in your pocket, just in case you were out and needed a pick. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, man.
That's
Very cool.
funny. They just
Um,
came out of the pick ether.
oh yeah. Yeah. Like, so I know Dava Picks based on the look, and the look is from the grip. Like, is
Right.
that what you guys are about? Like, can you talk about that for anyone that's not familiar with Dava?
Awesome. So with all Dava picks, they all have a great grip on them. I guess a lot of the more kind of standard picks people usually start with are basically just like a flat surface in the shape of a pick, and that's like a certain gauge. And then that's usually what people end up starting playing with. They're easy to use, they're very simple. But from day one, I'll show you the very first pick. So it's got like a really crazy grip design on there. It was kind of hard to see with the lighting, but it's a little bit flexible in the center as well. So what that means is that when you choke up on the pick, you hold it way close to the tip, the pick feels a lot stiffer than when you hold it like way farther back. So in every single Dava pick, you can change the feel about how it's playing, how it reacts to the strings, the guitar, just by the way you hold the pick. And you don't have to change anything. And then what that also means is we can make it a little bit thicker than we would by still getting you a feel of a little bit lighter pick for people that like that. And then it sounds a little warmer because of that too. So usually you can get a pretty nice attack with a lot of control with the pick. And also all the picks have a pretty good grip on it. So a lot of people find them hard to drop, which is nice, especially with the rubber grip. That one's the most popular one. We get a lot of people that say they get like sweaty on stage, or like they just have a hard time holding, or they have like sensory issues sometimes. And the rubber is like, it's kind of sticky. It's really hard to drop. I think that's carried Dava through to a lot of players.
Cool. I got one of those rubber ones with the metal end on it.
Right.
Which one is that one?
That one's called the Rock Control Nickel Silver. So it's right there. It's kind of hard to see. I think there's like bad lighting in here right now.
Yeah, we
But
got to get you a ring light, man.
I know. That's my next thing. This is my first podcast, so
Right
it's in
on.
the works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically it's a polypropylene plastic, so a hard plastic with a kind of an ergonomic kind of grip in the center. So it's like a little bit skinnier in the center, almost in the shape of like your thumb. So it's really easy to grip. and then it's got a nickel silver tip on it. It uses the same metal as some of the guitar frets are made out of nickel silver. So that means it's a little bit softer than some other metal picks. They're made of like a harder steel, so it doesn't sound so like harsh. And also ours is a little bit more rounded too. I think that's one thing that sets us apart is a lot of people that make metal picks, they're not so rounded all the time. So they like are also metal, but they sound like metal because it sounds like a flat edge. But ours are rounded, I think just enough to make it easy for people to get used to.
I think that's the pick that I will go to the most. But I was just thinking this morning, oh, I need to bring that pick inside and mess around on my acoustic guitar to see, the volume, if it tracks better. I've been trying to put together an intro for this podcast, and I just figured, well, I'll just noodle around on the acoustic guitar. But that's been my favorite pick on my bench. I won't let anybody use it. I'll pass them everything else. And I do have a bunch of Dava picks, and I'll hand them out kind of full circle on that. I noticed on social media, I see you lurking in the background at many shows regularly. And like people posting, musicians posting pictures of gigs and stuff. I've heard from a few players that you're a great supporter of local music, and they're very excited about Dava Picks. In fact, I think all of the musicians that we curated for the upcoming guitar show, they all mentioned you. And I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's because I'm a musician. I've been playing music for a lot longer than I've done anything with Dava. And so I think that's something that I just kind of resonate with. I would be out there at shows supporting these same people, whether I had anything to do with Dava or not. So at the same time, it's like, try this pick out. You might like it. And luckily, sometimes they do, I am trying to like get more in touch with the local music scene because I do want that to be a part of Dava moving forward. I think that's a really cool thing to cultivate. I think there's a big sense of community here in music that really resonates with me. And I just think all of that's a positive all around. And I think that's really awesome what is coming up right now because I think there's a lot of community growing here.
Yeah, definitely. I've come to understand that at the very least, the musicians here in Albuquerque are aware of most of the other musicians, even if like I can't figure out how to kind of get into whatever's happening, like at the very least, the musicians understand who's playing where and what's going on. And, we're definitely trying to do that with all the guitar makers around here. Were you aware of the abundance of builders out here in Albuquerque?
No, it's amazing because I'm originally from Taos, New Mexico. When I would come to Albuquerque, I would mostly go like visit family, like shopping with my mom at the mall here. I've always played music for a long time, but wasn't until like probably I would say the last year and a half even that I really tried to get involved with music here. I think coming from a small town, it was almost like I didn't realize what there was out here until I put my foot in the water a little bit. So like understanding that there's a lot of musicians that are really friendly, they're really open. And at the same time, there's a lot of guitar builders and a lot of really cool guitar making people out here that I didn't know about either. So I'm honestly just really excited for what's to come with that. I think that's really cool what is going on right now with the community that's building up. And not even just in New Mexico, the surrounding areas. Like it's all honestly new to me. I'm learning so much about it every day, and I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way, with all of the different builders and vendors for the next show coming from surrounding states. I've been learning more about like all the different guitar shows happening, and finally hearing back from a lot of musicians and companies that I reached out to do this show. And, at this point it's too late, because the show's full. Hallelujah. We got the show full. And we'll have about 50 vendors. Like, that's pretty incredible. You know what? I didn't even think about this until now. I'll send you the list of musicians we have involved. And if you want to reach out to them, and see if they want to use some Dava picks.
Yeah.
We're encouraging everybody to have as much cross collaboration as possible and cross promotion as possible. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and being willing to be a part of the High Desert Luthiery thing. It's a podcast now, it's a guitar show or luthier show.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. It's been a little difficult getting people to take a chance, especially locals. And if they're not taking a chance, it's, I don't know you. I've never heard of this thing. Let's see how it goes. And for you being an established company and brand and being willing to take a chance, I really appreciate that. And I'm saying that now so that if any of the builders that didn't want to do this show are listening, I was a local business owner that took a chance and is doing the show. And, what was your experience at the last show? How did that go for you?
I think it went really well. I was mostly trying to, get in contact with more local people. I think it's kind of exciting. Like I was saying earlier, I really am just trying to stay involved with like who's in Albuquerque and who's in New Mexico. And I guess now for the next show, who's in the surrounding area. I just think that's all of that is a positive to bring a sense of community, to like get to know people. So I was excited for that. I had great booth neighbors. I had great interactions with people. Some people didn't know about the pick, so I was able to share that with them as well. And yeah, I guess also that you asked me to be at the show. I mean, I value supporting New Mexico and supporting everything that shares the values of what you're doing with the show. I mean, I think all of that is going to bring a lot to New Mexico in the end. And I also know that some people may not like be willing to try something new, or like they, if they're not sure if it's going to go well, maybe they won't go or something like that. And all it takes is someone with a little bit of a gusto, to get it going. Someone that's going to say, all right, this is going to be a good show. We're going to get a good team together. All of it's going to build something. There's a lot of untapped potential, especially Albuquerque could reach in music.
Definitely, I feel the same way. And I was just talking with a friend earlier this week about that. I've only been here 5 years and I've seen, things try to happen, right? We were neighbors at the New Mexico Guitar Show. We saw that try to happen and then crash and burn. I'm sure that locals who have been here longer have seen that sort of thing happen. And I guess I don't really have that want to just do it once and one and done, like, because there's nothing like it out here. And, there's finally more things happening, even in Arizona, and there's more things starting to happen in Colorado. Guitar shows are usually where guys like you and I get to go show our products. So, when I mention guitar shows, that's why, that thing was happening once at the end of the year, and now they're doing it in March. And I'm just trying to spread the word to give everyone as much of a chance to show their work as they want to. I just talked to a builder yesterday who's going to be doing like all of the regional guitar shows as a push for his brand. And he's like a brand new builder. And I find that very inspirational. But like, it must be fun to walk around as a pick maker essentially at the NAMM show and introduce people to your picks. Like, what is that like?
Yeah, I think I did enjoy it better than I would have if I had a booth, because like there's a whole, I mean, like setting up, and there's a whole like almost like an inner script that you're saying, like your presentation, how you're gonna interact with people when they come up to the booth, what you're gonna show them, different kind of questions that they ask at a booth versus, I mean, if you're just walking around, it's almost like a one-on-one conversation. That's my preference. I mean, I'm a little bit of a quiet person innately. So like when I went to the NAMM show, I just would go up to people that I didn't know and I would say, "Hey, do you play guitar?" And I just hovered around the guitar section and they're like, "Yeah." And I said, "Can I give you some picks?" Well, yeah, who's gonna say no to that? And so I would give them some picks and then I'd tell them about it. and they went on their way. Just try to make it like a positive experience so that they're not feeling like harassed. Like I think at those shows, people are open to like having those kinds of interactions. So I think that was the best place for me to go have fun and do that. And just go do that a couple hours. That's what I enjoyed most about it. And also seeing all the booths and being a guitar nerd for a little bit.
Did you get to pass any picks to any superstars out there?
A couple. We'll see if they use them. Yeah. Mostly YouTubers. There were a couple like older rock stars that were there that I had no idea who they were. And I could just tell because they had like a crowd around them, and I had no idea who they were, but I still gave them some pics and said like, "Hey, nice to meet you."
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. You're a guitar player, right?
yeah. You're like famous or something? All right, cool. Hey, nice to meet you.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I've definitely had those moments there at the NAMM show. I ran like pretty much headbutted Kenny G
Oh
uh
my gosh.
one year. It was hilarious. And like he was just cruising through the show with his sons. And I was looking at like I think a Fender Rhodes and I was like, they're still making those? And wasn't watching where I was going and bam! And he was looking at something else and so oh shit, I'm sorry, man. And I took
Yeah.
a step back and he was like, oh, it's all good. No problem. He didn't beat me up. Oh man. So do you have a favorite Dava pick that you use when you're playing?
I use all the picks, but I also tend to gravitate towards this one a lot, which is the same one that Corey Wong uses. Most people like this one. It's the grip tip, the rubber grip.
What do you
Um,
think they like about it?
First of all, the rubber. It's really hard to beat the grip because the way it's molded on there, it's literally one piece. It's the kind of the only pick out there that doesn't have an additive for the grip. I mean, there's some where there's like ridges and like that is in the pick itself, which is a grip as well. But this is the only pick with the rubber that is the pick. It's one piece. So it's really easy to use in that way with the rubber grip on it. And also, I think because of the flexibility in the middle, it's quite flexible. So it's pretty versatile for people that don't really like a hard pick. A lot of people don't like that. Some people do. So for the people that do, I mean, all you got to do is choke up on the pick and it feels much stiffer than it is already just by holding it in a different place. So when you're playing, like I do this all the time, I'm like playing rhythm and I hold it pretty loosely and then I choke up on it if I have to do like a lead. And for me, it's like so easy to do that on the fly in like half a second.
And for those of you who haven't heard Corey Wong, he's a very staccato rhythm player, very fast, very Minneapolis funk fueled. I mean, like insanely fast rhythm chops and super clean tone. Like when I hear him play, the cool thing is I don't hear his pick strikes. And I remember like when I started playing and I was like just rewinding the tape, the Joe Satriani tapes, the Steve Vai tapes, I could hear the picks hitting. And when I was watching these guys play, and you could hear it when Stevie Ray's playing too, as like ferocious as his attack looks when he's playing, you can't hear the pick hitting, and that is so cool. I mean, part of that is probably his touch, but part of it's got to be the pick. And it's such a cool accomplishment. What I'm trying to do here is talk about like when you might want to use one pick or another, what their like uses might be. But what I'm realizing is that they're very utilitarian, like they do multiple things, which is very unique for a pick. It seems like you can get the feel of a thin pick, like some acoustic players like to do, or the feel of a really heavy pick, like some steel string rhythm players might want, to drive that sound a lot more. Would you switch like pick materials for any reason when you're playing in your experience?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes it also depends on if I'm recording too. I think The cool thing about a guitar pick is I really believe it's probably the most personal thing about a guitar player. And even if they don't use picks, I also believe, like that's also the most personal thing, whether you use a pick, what pick do you use, how you hold the pick. Because if you think about it, one thing that is a little more personal than even a guitar, I mean, in my opinion, is how you actually play the guitar. I'm going to play completely different than you will, even if we both use the same guitar. And so, kind of the thing in between that is our left hand, how we're both fretting that, and our right hand, how we're striking the strings, if you finger pick it, how you're plucking it, how you mute it. All of those things kind of are really personal about a guitar player. So, kind of what's funny about that is I could tell you one thing about a pick, and then a lot of times people will say, I like the original pick for acoustic playing. And then some people will say, no, I don't like that. I like the grip tips for acoustic playing. Another person will say, well, I don't like those at all. I like the nickel silver picks. Like for me, I like the nylon picks, which are the original. I think I showed earlier.
Yep.
I need a ring light. It's hard to see. So that one's called the Dava Control Nylon. It's hard to see on the camera, but I like those for acoustic playing. And then I like the rubber picks, the little stiffer ones for electric, because I think they give it a little bit of a warmer sound. On electric, it's really easy to sound like harsh, especially when you get to the high frets and the high strings. So I like how it flexes a little bit and the plastic's a little softer. So it takes away a little bit of the high end for me. Yeah. But I think that honestly, that's really cool about guitar picks. They're so personal. And I've heard so many, like all of the different variations from all of our picks, which I think is very interesting because sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what is good to tell someone other than like, honestly, you should probably just try it and see what
Yeah,
works for you.
that approach, it's so perfect for High Desert Luthiery. Like everything is so subjective. My sort of reason for asking, going in this direction with the questions is a lot of companies, they base their products on a gimmick or a solution for something. And so they're telling you like, oh yeah, if you want to play faster, you want to use this Dunlop Jazz 3, or whatever. And you'll hear it from players as well. Well, you can't play fast because you're not playing with this pick. And to hear you just say like you really have to try it, pointing at how subjective everyone's experience is in everything that we do. It's really wonderful and exciting to hear. Do you have any plans on what you want to do with Dava in the next 2 years?
Well, definitely, I want to stay in touch with a lot more artists. I think being the new owner, I've owned it for about a year now, or a year and a half around there. I want to be a lot more involved with artists. I also want to get to know artists that have been involved with Dava since forever ago, even if they don't use Dava picks now. I kind of just want to learn a lot about that, and I'd like to collaborate a lot more. And also, I mean, Albuquerque music. I'm here at shows all the time. I like getting involved with musicians, seeing what they're up to, supporting them, seeing what their new music is. Hopefully, I can get them to use some of the guitars from the guitar builders. That was kind of a recent development for me, so I'm trying to get involved with the guitar builders here too.
Yeah, definitely. And at this next show, I highly encourage you to sprinkle some picks around any guitars. We're really encouraging cross collaboration as much as possible. And, sort of speaking about that, if any of our listeners are in Albuquerque or visiting Albuquerque, where can they pick up some Dava picks?
You can buy them on our website, but I would recommend going to the local stores that carry them. We sell them at Music Go Round, Backroads Guitars, Guitar Vista. There might be another store or two that I'm forgetting about. I'm still learning everything here.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time. I know you're a busy man. Where can people find Dava picks?
Yeah, the main one for us right now is Instagram. I would look us up on Instagram, just Dava Picks, as simple as that, and you'll find us right away.
Right on, Angel. Thank you. And if you go to our website, you'll find Dava Picks and our luthier adjacent vendors with all of the links to everything where you can find Dava. I'm looking forward to seeing you again at the next show. And with as busy as everybody is all the time, that'll probably be the next time that I see you, unless I actually make it out to some live music. I keep making an effort to leave the house. I can't, man. I'm just like dog tired by the end of the day.
Yeah, I bet.
But,
I bet. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And thanks for joining me, man. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining me today, Angel. I really appreciate you taking the time to do the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed the show. It was great learning more about Dava Picks. It's been really nice to get to know Angel and also hear how supportive the local musicians are of him as a supporter of the local music scene here in Albuquerque. A big thing that Allison and I are working on is creating a community of luthiers, as well as what we call luthier adjacent companies, builders, makers, creators. We're really trying to build this tight community. Beyond that, we want to really connect the music scene with the builder scene and just create more of a community, more support. And with the abundance of people recording, musicians recording all of their own material at home, and the few studios that are around, growing this community into something that's very strong, very tight is going to be so wonderful, so helpful. And I was just very touched that Angel is working just as hard as we are to make all of this happen. Once again, I'm Perry from Unga Guitars. The next HDLI, by the way, will be Sunday, June 2nd, here in Albuquerque at Rio Bravo Brewing. To learn more about the show, you can visit our website, highdesertluthery.com. You can keep up with any updates about the event, our blog, our podcast on our Instagram channel, High Desert Luthiery. And while you're at the YouTube and the Instagram page, please do like, share, subscribe. All of that goes a long way in helping us grow our community, grow our show, and we appreciate all the help that we get. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next one.